Oh boy, I hope you guys are ready for a little controversy because this one's definitely going to cause a lot of it. Booksmart. Booksmart is directed by Olivia Wilde. It's her directorial debut, and it stars Caitlin Dever, Beanie Feldstein, Billy Lord, Jason Sudeikis, and a couple of other people. And basically, it follows Caitlin Dever and Beanie Feldstein's characters, and they realize that while they have studied all this time, they got into good colleges. They realize that a bunch of their classmates and peers also got into those colleges, but they also partied a lot. So they want to make the most of their final day of high school before graduation by going to a party that night. That's pretty much the plot of this entire movie. Let's get into Booksmart. There are some things that I really did like about Booksmart. Definitely some things that I thought were good within the movie itself. First of all, Caitlin Dever and Beanie Feldstein, I thought their performances were fine for the most part. They were pretty good, but their chemistry is what sells them in this movie. Their chemistry is really good. They play best friends, and they're totally believable as best friends. Like, they seem like they would be best friends in real life, and it's totally believable. I love their chemistry in this movie. And in the last 20 to 30 minutes of this movie, there are a lot of great and funny moments. Like, a couple of scenes in particular. There's a karaoke scene that I thought was really well done. There's also a scene that takes place at a jail, and then there's another scene that takes place at a certain party that they do go to, and there's a couple other scenes thrown in there as well. A scene involving a graduation I thought was really well done, and there are some heartfelt moments between the two main characters and even some of the other characters as well. In the last 20 to 30 minutes of the film, there's a character named Jared that I thought had a really good heart, especially in the final act of the movie. And then there's a couple other characters as well. For the most part, I did enjoy the last 20 to 30 minutes of the movie because there are some great character moments, there are some heartfelt moments, and there are some moments where I was genuinely laughing. Unfortunately, this is where the controversy gets to come into play. Now, I was never really looking forward to this movie because I thought the trailer sucked. It was legitimately one of the worst trailers I've seen this year, especially the Red Band trailer. The Red Band trailer was even worse than the unrestricted trailer. It was bad. And yeah, for the entire first 70 or so minutes of this movie, it was insufferable. And I know this movie has like a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes or something like that. How the hell is that possible? Because the things some of these characters get away with in this movie make me question life in general. Like, would this really happen in real life? No. First of all, the two main characters, as good as their chemistry is, and their performances are fine, but for the first hour or so of this movie, their characters are insufferable. They're just really annoying, especially Beanie Feldstein. I thought her jokes were so out of line. And, like, the problem I have with the first 70 minutes of this movie is there are some scenes that are so damn awkward. And then there's something that happens toward the end of the second act of this movie that, like, literally, if they had done this earlier in the movie, the whole first 2 acts of this movie could have been avoided. This movie basically centers around Caitlin Dever and Beanie Feldstein trying to get to this party at a popular classmate's house. It takes them forever to do that because they don't know how to get to this party, and it basically follows all their shenanigans till then. But when you find out how they eventually get to this party, it's like, why didn't they do this earlier? Are they that dumb? And yeah, they're very gullible, especially in the second act of the movie where they're going to this other party. It's like a murder mystery party or something. Oh my god, that whole sequence was just pure cringe. Especially with a scene involving dolls. dear God. At that scene, I wanted to get up and walk out, but I knew I couldn't. I was just holding on to the hope that maybe the movie would finally get good. Luckily, it did toward the final act of the movie, but oh my God. Just the whole first hour, 10 minutes leading up to that was just so cringeworthy. And then even in the last 30 minutes of the movie, like, I mentioned a jail scene earlier in my positive section. How that scene ends makes absolutely no sense. It's like, on what planet would that actually happen? Like, what planet is this? Speaking of what planet would that actually happen, like, in the first 15 minutes of the movie especially, how the high school is showcased, like people throwing things around, there's confetti everywhere, people are running into people without any remorse or anything, there's no consequences for anyone's actions, not to mention the stupid principal played by Jason Sudeikis. He just plays this really dumb principal character that just doesn't care. Like, it's like, dude, are you that bad at your job? No principal would ever act like that and not get fired for it. Not when I went to high school. Like, if the principal acted like that, they would get fired. Speaking of which, when there's a principal driving a car, like, he drives a car in the scene with Caitlin Dever and Beanie Feldstein, and oh my God, that scene, I know people laughed at that scene. I was like, really? Because first off, it's the principal. What's he doing trying to take these kids to a party? And then, like, there's a cell phone involved. They're watching this video on the cell phone, and I already know what they're watching, by the way. And just, I predicted what was going to happen, what the principal was going to do. I knew what was going to happen, and it killed the entire joke. It was just stupid, corny, awkward, and just stupid. And then, like, there's Billie Lourd in this movie is so obnoxious. She's one of the worst characters of the year. Like, she just pops up out of nowhere, randomly, and it makes no sense. I love that they address it in the movie. Like, wait, where'd you come from? You were doing this earlier, and now you're here? Like, I'm like, thank you, because she just pops up randomly. It's so dumb, and her character's freaking obnoxious. The guy named Jared, like, as genuine as he was in the last act of the movie, for the first two acts, he was freaking obnoxious. Like, Caitlin Dever and Beanie Feldstein clearly said they want to go to this party at this popular kid's house, but then he takes them to a different party, and it's just so dumb. And that whole sequence on a yacht, there's a sequence that takes place on a yacht. So pointless. Didn't need to be there. And then there's the pizza delivery scene where, oh my God, I wanted to shoot myself. It was bad. It was just really bad. And yeah, like, the main characters were insufferable. I already mentioned that for the first half of the movie. Their classmates are even worse. Like, none of the characters are likable. And on what planet, again, what planet would they get away with things like this? And without any consequence. It makes no sense. Because I can assure you, if people acted like that at my high school, they would be in huge trouble for it. It's so dumb. It makes no sense. It's not believable in any way. I wouldn't even say it's that realistic. It's just dumb. That's really the best words I can use to describe this movie. It's just dumb. It's really dumb. 97%, give me a break. So stupid. Oh, and another thing I need to mention. The way music is used in this film. Dear God, this soundtrack is horrible. It's like every scene has to have some sort of pop song, and it gets so repetitive, so annoying. And like, even during the third act, when like the two main characters are arguing with each other over something, and then like it cuts out the sound, like the camera's doing this thing, which, okay, it was a decent tracking shot, but of course, then the audio just cuts out and you just hear this song playing. By the way, no one's doing anything in the background. Like, there's several people in the background watching this argument, and they're not doing anything. They're not even saying anything. It makes no sense. It's just really dumb. Really dumb. I don't know what people see in this movie. I really don't. While there are definitely some things to like and even love about Booksmart, like, well, especially in the last 30 minutes and between the two main characters, this movie as a whole, like the first hour to hour and 15 minutes of this movie is just, I don't think it's worth sitting through all that to get through to the final act of the movie. I really don't. So, yeah, it's just overly cringy. There's times where it's raunchy for the sake of being raunchy. It's really dumb, not realistic, not believable. The characters are obnoxious. The soundtrack is even more obnoxious. The scene with the dolls, this movie's just a mess. It's just a huge mess. A huge, dumb, forgettable mess. And I really, really, really didn't like it. I'm sorry to the fans of this movie. If you love this movie, more power to you, I guess. But I really don't see it. I really don't see what there is to like about this movie. So with that being said, this is probably my most overrated movie of the year so far. Earlier I said Climax was the most overrated, but that only has like a 71%, I think, on Rotten Tomatoes. This one has a 97. So while this movie's not as bad as Climax, the fact that it has such a high rating, near unanimous praise, is honestly really baffling, and that's why I would consider it to be the most overrated movie of 2019 so far. So with that being said, I'm going to give Booksmart a 33% rotten rating. That is a solid D. Again, I'm sorry that I didn't like this movie. I wanted to like this movie. I really did. Even though it was on my least anticipated of the summer list, I decided, you know what, I'll give it a chance. A lot of people were telling me that I was going to love it. And a lot of people that said movies like Lady Bird and 8th Grade were not that good. A lot of people were saying that this movie is way better than those two movies and everything that those movies should have been. And so I began to get more optimistic about it. I decided to go support it, show it some love in theaters, and I just didn't like it. So, again, I'm sorry for those of you that like this movie, but I just could not get into it. So, yeah, there's my review. More of a kind of controversial mini rant, I guess, on Booksmart. Have you guys seen Booksmart? What did you think about it? Make sure to let me know down in the comments below what you thought of it. And make sure to subscribe to my channel for more content to come in the future. Not quite sure what I'm going to review next. I know we got Dark Phoenix and Secret Life of Pets 2 coming out this weekend, so maybe I'll review one of those. Not quite sure yet, but yeah, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more videos to come in the future. And until next time, once again, my name is the California Cougar, and always remember to stay California cool. Peace.